back to the Purpose Podcast. My name is Travis Holton. I'm a man of action. I walk with growth, honor, and faithfulness. I'm a warrior, ignited with purpose from the One Most High. I got my brother Rickey here with me today, and a couple reasons why I wanted Rickey to be on the podcast. Rickey's just one of those relationship builders. I feel like everyone that you just walk into a room and you just naturally bring in a light, and it just naturally touches everybody around you. Rickey's a great storyteller, a great communicator, and I feel like he has one of those very radical redemption stories where life could have easily took a left turn, but you're able to just persevere, find God, and really go down the path that God chose you to lead, to live and to lead. And I just wanted you to kind of talk a little bit about that and just kind of introduce yourself from there.
Okay, man. I appreciate it. Well, I'm Rickey Nelson, and I'm here with Travis. I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on the podcast, brother.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate all the nice words. It's a little bit weird staring into a camera, but I'm going to get used to it. We'll figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, so appreciate all the nice words. I mean, you're kind of somebody who I just kind of like gravitated to as soon as I met you, just because how you are so focused on growing in the right direction and building people up and picking up people around you. It seems like you could pretty much be around, I mean, I haven't seen you around tons of people, but it seems like you could be just pretty much around just about anybody and not only want for that person to be doing good, but to truly want that person to be doing better than you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like that day that you came up to me, like a couple of weeks ago, and you just told me, like God laid a prophetic word on your heart for you to give me, like you have no idea how much I needed to hear that. What you told me that day, it spoke volume into my life, and I appreciate you and the things that you do and say too. But thanks for having me here, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, you want to pray us in?
Yeah, let's do it. Lord Father, thank you for having us here. Thank you for everything that Travis is doing with the Purpose Podcast. Just let this thing spread like wildfire, Lord, and just put your touch on it and make sure that it becomes something one day that it reaches people and draws people closer to you, Lord. We give all the thanks and glory to you, God, and everything that you want is what will be done through this whole process. It's your glory over everything, and we just ask that you take this where you want it to be. It's not about what I want, what Travis wants, what anybody else in the world wants. The purpose through everything that you do is in your eyes and your eyes alone. Thank you for everything that you do for us daily, and thank you for protecting us and bringing us everywhere we need to be, opening up all the right doors, closing all the wrong doors, and just pouring into our lives every day, Lord. Thank you for everything you do for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Yeah, so I mean, like you were saying, I just kind of wanted to touch on it. That day, whenever I was like walking up and wanting to talk to you, I just felt called randomly in the gym in the morning to be like, I got something that Rickey needs to hear today, and God was just kind of pouring that into my heart. Like, this is what you got to say. This is how you got to say it. And I was like, didn't want to. I didn't know how you were going to react. Like, you never know. And I was like, okay, whenever I get to work, if Rickey's there, then I'll say it. Because I never know what you're doing in the mornings.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you were there, and I was like, man. And then a customer walked out. I was like, okay, well, if he's still here after this customer, then I'll go do it.
Yeah.
And that customer spent like an hour with me, and he came in and left, and you were still there. I was like, man, okay, God, fine. I was walking by. I was like, all right, I'll do it. And then just like, I feel like I took the first steps in the right direction, and God spoke all the words for me to say, and it was like what you said, like exactly what you needed. And I know it was because I got like emotional saying it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I didn't even know where it came from.
Yeah, so did I. I'm pretty good at holding back my emotions, but it helped me a lot, like honestly, in somewhat of a way, and that's a cool thing about, like using God's voice whenever He gives it to you and gives you something to share with somebody, because half the struggle is getting there. Like you said,
it's taking those first steps.
Dude, I hate that feeling of being like, oh my God, am I actually supposed to say this to somebody? Like, this is so embarrassing. It's so hard to do, because let's get real. At that point, whenever you said that to me, we really, really hadn't known each other for too long. It was super close. For you to try to pour into my life with something positive, it's really, really hard to do with somebody who you're not super, super familiar with.
Yeah, because you don't know how they're going to react to it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I didn't have it as like a bad thing. I had it as, it was a good thing. God told me to speak, and I basically like told him like with what he's doing, like he's leaving our job to go do something like basically just go into this uncharted territory where he doesn't know what he's going to do yet. And he wants to, I think you want to like lead your own business and build your own business. Yep. And I basically told him that do whenever you start this, like burn the boats, go all in with whatever you're doing. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to come and you're going to pave this path, and then your kid and your whole family is going to come back and just pave the road even wider.
Yeah, for sure.
I like basically summarized everything, but I thought it was just like so good to share and so good to like just get off my chest. Like God's been speaking that to tell me for like the whole entire morning, out of nowhere.
Yeah, for where I'm at with my walk of faith, and Travis coming to me and saying that to me that day, it was exactly what I needed to hear. I felt like more of it was a sign directly from God than directed from Travis. I felt like it was through him and not from him, in somewhat of a weird way. And you talk about a breathtaking moment, because it's one of those things where there's a lot of doubt and uncertainty in my life as of right now, but at the same time too, you know, before I even get into this, I want to let everybody know, if anybody's watching, you know, I'm a father, I'm married, I have 2 children, I have bills like everybody else, you know, I save and work for every penny that I have, and I just want anybody to know who's watching this that if you feel like you have a passion or a desire to feel like God's leading you for more in your life, no matter where you're at, you have to step out in faith and try to accept the struggles to come to be able to get there. Because if you don't ever take that leap of faith, then you'll never have anything come back to you as far as a blessing. And yeah, it's scary, but at the same time, you know, there's a lot of peace involved in it too. And I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you know, I'm 32 years old, I'm going on 33 now, and you know, I'm completely okay with saying and letting everybody know that I don't know where I'm at in my life as far as where exactly I want to be or what I want to be doing, and that's okay. You know, everybody tries to follow what the world tells us that we should be doing and how you should have everything planned out. You should go to school, you should go to college, you should get a job and work a 9 to 5 and do it for so many years and save up for retirement. You know, if you plan out your life and you let what people tell you to do to plan out your life, you're literally defeating the purpose of walking through faith with God. I mean, that, but it's also tailored to everybody's specific story. That's how my story is right now. I feel like God is leading me into a direction of growth of somewhere. You know, I grew very stagnant and comfortable and complacent where I was at. I could have done what I was doing for the rest of my life. But one day, God kind of spoke to me, man, and not in an audible way, but I kind of started having these feelings, you know, like, you're cutting your plans short. Like, God's plan for you in your life, you're cutting it way short, brother. And you have your own legacy to build, but you're not ever going to reach it unless you sacrifice and get out there and go for it.
And it's like, I think I've heard this quote before. It's like one of the coaches talk about winning.
Yeah.
And he talks about the only thing that's basically guaranteed if you don't try to win is losing.
Yeah.
He's like, and can you sprint the distance when the distance is unknown? And that's like walking with God.
Yeah. You miss 100 shots, you don't shoot.
Yeah, 100%. It's 100%. Like sprinting with God, and the distance is unknown, but at the end of it is, I feel like, authority, and there's freedom over your life, and I feel like that's the direction that you're leading right now.
It's, you know, no matter how much faith anybody wants to say that they have too, it's still hard and scary to lean into, especially whenever you have a family. It hits a little different, dude. Like, it's just getting me emotional even thinking about it, because, you know, at the end of the day, I have a wife and kids to take care of. I have to make sure that the lights are on, the bills are paid, roof stays over our head. And granted, me and my wife are in a phenomenal spot financially now, and honestly, I see that as a blessing that God has presented us with to give us time and opportunity to sit down and think and process and get in the Word to be able to get onto that path. Because that's a big, you know, I have it a whole lot better than a lot of people to try to do what I'm doing. I'm fairly comfortable to be able to go through these changes, but that doesn't make it any less scarier.
I feel like people that are younger and are not there, it's like, it doesn't mean you have to quit your job. It doesn't mean you have to change anything.
No, you don't.
You have to, 9 to 5 might be your present, and that might be what you're using right now to build your present and to build a savings account and to do these different things. But your 5 to 9, That's where you start building your future.
Yep.
Every single day. And how are you spending those just 4 hours a day?
Mm-hmm.
Is so important. Think about it like a whole nother day, and you just think about how much more time you're going to have invested in than someone else that's not doing that. It's like, okay, we'll have 4 hours, and it just adds up. 6 hours, 7 hours, I have a day. I heard this thing, it's like 18 minutes a day learning something new.
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of I think it's 3 months or something, you're like a master at it. If you could just spend 18 minutes a day for 3 months doing something like playing guitar, you might start playing guitar and have no idea what you're doing, but 18 minutes a day of doing it, then you're a pro at it within a few months, because no one else is taking that time and learning something new. They're all just going home and staying the same and watching TV or watching Netflix or playing video games.
Yep.
And if you take just 18 minutes a day and invest it in some new ability or skill that you have, you're going to be a master at it in no time.
Yeah, and talking about time, time is it's a very undervalued thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people trade their time as a currency, and time is the most valuable thing that we have.
Most valuable asset that you have.
Yeah, and that's another weird spot where I'm at right now in my life too, is I'm having a completely different outlook on the time that I have and how I want it to be spent. Mm-hmm. Before worrying about making money or building an empire or whatever, feels like is right to do. The most important thing to me right now is spend as much time as I can with my wife and my kids while I'm young and healthy and able. I don't want to be the person. It's hard to explain to everybody because generally people are going to think that it's a wrong way of thinking, but I don't want to spend the best years of my life working hard to take care of my family whenever I can be spending time with them more
and building memories with them
and getting by.
Yeah,
because those memories are what I'm going to carry on with me. My wife said something to me one day, because I'm a very hard worker naturally. I actually love to work. It's almost to the point to where that's all I will do if you let me. And
we were just talking about it beforehand. It's it doesn't matter what we do, we want to be the best at it. You were talking about building the fish tank.
Yeah.
You're if I'm going in to build a fish tank, I'm trying to find the best fish. I'm trying to find everything to put in there, and I want to build the best fish tank that's on the market, or build the best fish tank that's ever been built before.
Definitely.
And that's the competitiveness behind it. You want to work, you want to be the best at whatever it is that you're doing. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You just want to just naturally be the best at it.
Yeah, for sure. So my wife, for me and how I grew up and everything, I grew up very, very, I wouldn't say poor, because my mom, being a single mother, she really tried hard to get us everything that we needed, and she done a phenomenal job. I live in a home without my father, and but my mom really, really struggled. We didn't have it the best. So as I became a man and, basically raised myself to learn to become a man on my own with no good fatherly figures in my life, what I did was I thought that life was, and this is way before I ever knew who God was or had a relationship with God, I thought that what life was is success through money. I thought that's all it was. So
that's what a lot of people believe, and I feel that's a lie that they're told to believe by the enemy almost.
Because
we spend our entire lives if you don't have that, then you're not successful.
Exactly.
That's the way you think about it in the back of your head, and growing up, that's what you're taught. You have to go to college and work a 9 to 5 and do all these different things. You watch even your parents grow up. They grow up and they basically probably worship money, whether you think about it or not. They always, my parents always argued about bills and argued about money and stuff that we didn't have.
Yeah, that's what society tells you, and that's what I'm trying to give up. And this one thing specifically kind of shifted the gears for me a couple years ago in doing that. So my wife, Alyssa, was pregnant with our son Maverick at the time. He's 3 years old now, so it was right around a little over 3 years ago. And while she was pregnant, she was off work. I started working side jobs. So I was working a full-time job Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and then I was working Saturday and Sundays all day. And a lot of times, even during the work week, whenever I was doing my regular 9 to 5, I would leave at 5 and go to somebody's house and be working till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to finish up side jobs, getting them done just to have that extra income to take care of things. Well, it snowballed into a problem really fast, and before I knew it, my son had been born for 4 or 5 months, and I hadn't spent a single day at home. Dude, I'm gonna get so emotional saying this. I've literally tried to tell people this story numerous times over the past 3 years, and still get emotional every time I say it. I went on a Sunday, went to church in the morning with my wife and kids, left straight from church, went to go do a side job. I came home at like 12 o'clock at night, dirty as can be, came inside, sat on the couch, and my wife was up. And my wife, Alyssa, if you know her, she loves sleep, dude. That girl sleeps more than anybody I know. She loves to sleep, dude. And I went and sat on the couch, and she was sitting on the couch reading a book, and I fell asleep almost instantly, just out. And I woke up at probably a couple hours later, probably like 3 o'clock in the morning-ish, and she was sitting there reading a book. And whenever I opened up my eyes, I'll never forget this crap, dude. I looked at her, and she pointed me right in my face, and she said, "No amount of money you ever make is going to replace the time we don't have with you." And dude, I'm telling you, bro, like that crap, that changed my outlook on everything. It made me realize a mistake that I've been making since I was a young man, that I'm spending my life and my days away killing myself over something to where whenever I leave one day, you think my kids are going to care about how much money I leave them or my things whenever I go? They ain't going to care about that crap, dude. They're going to want their daddy, their father, man that's been in their life. And like, dude, just having that brought to my attention, because like everything that I'm doing in life, it has nothing to do with anything that anybody else has going on. It's all a battle that I'm having within my own soul as far as where I want to be in life, and what that consists of as me making sure that my time is 100% free to, if I say so, to be with my wife and my kids.
Yeah, and then just live life from there.
I don't even care if we barely get by, dude. You know, like we have savings put in order for the kids whenever they're grown and we're gone one day, and like that's taken care of. So like beyond that, what do I have to do other than get by and satisfy my family and make sure that they get as much time as possible with me?
And and having as much time as possible with them versus it being, like you said, like tailored towards work. Like you're busting your butt working every single day and having less and less time to go home to them. Yeah. And then around that time, you're bringing them over like the scraps. Like I know you just went and worked all day. You don't want to really go home and play with the kids. Or you don't want to really go home and do all these different things because you're exhausted at that point.
Oh, dude, it was literally like I would wake up, go to work. I would leave the house before my wife and kids would be out of bed. A lot of times I would work a couple hours late, and I'd get home. My wife would be cooking dinner. By the time I take shower and do a 30-minute workout, I have an hour to play with the kids before their bedtime. I know an hour, like you were saying, like the 18 minutes, it adds up. But as far as family, that's not enough time for me. No. For me personally, my own soul, that's not the time that I want at all. And whenever you have a little kid like my son, bro, that crap goes by quick.
And it's something that you think about all the time. It's like you said, whenever I die, I can leave my kids money, but what do they get out of it?
Nothing.
They can go, you never taught them how to use it, or you never taught them really how to be a father. You know what I'm saying? You never developed those skills with them and taught them how to lead their whole family through, struggles and through tough times. You just taught them how to go make money. Okay, like, exactly. So what?
Yeah.
And you leave them all this money for them to go and just like use for themselves or use in different ways, but you can teach them how to be a blessing and how to like help other people, like with you helping your son, or with you helping the people around you whenever you're out, which I know you do that all the time. And just seeing that, like, that is just a whole spark in your life that's going to just, like light the match, set them on fire, and go and do something absolutely amazing.
There's so much more to life than people think, because the devil wants it that way. He's got everybody, not everybody, but he has a lot of the population kind of fogged up to the societal norm. What God calls us to do is step outside of that and live the life of faith and know, like one of my favorite verses, I'm not super well educated on the Bible, like I'm still a faith baby. I consider me only being saved for 7 years. I feel like I'm very far along from where I was, but I'm not super well educated on the Bible. But I love the verse. I can't even quote the verse, but the verse where he talks about the birds in the sky and feeding them, and the flowers, how he dresses them, and you think that he does that for something. What do you think he's going to do for you? He'd do so much more for you just to be, because those things, they just are. They don't think about it. Like a bird doesn't go out and have to think or struggle on where they're going to eat, or And like same with a flower, it doesn't come up out of the ground thinking like, oh, how am I gonna get my petals?
Yeah.
You know, like
It just naturally just lives its own life and knows that God's going to provide for him, which is how everybody should live.
And it naturally comes. That's a big thing to me. That's the personal issue. I have to learn to let go that I can't take care of everything on my own.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be done through God. I can't make it happen. I feel bad for men. I see men all the time struggle with that. They think that they got to get it done. They got to get it done. They got to make it happen. And no.
You have to go out and go make another dollar.
Yeah.
You know, I have to go do something else. I have to go, start building a savings account. Go start, life is, like we talked about already, but life is all about like growing up, and you think it's success is money. Mm-hmm. And if anybody that's thinking about this or watching this podcast right now, if you think about success, you think of the richest person that you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, like, rich in what way? That is I think if you can answer that question, that is rich in what way? Rich in money, or you can have somebody that's rich in wisdom, that's rich in knowledge, that has lived a life with their kids and just memories and stuff. And even if you are successful with money, what do you, like we were talking, what do you leave your kids?
Yeah.
And you could leave them with memories and stuff, or you can just leave them with money.
Yeah.
Like, what's more important at the end of the day?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a cool thing about that too, that was actually a question that I was going to ask you, but I didn't want to like put you on the spot.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I love it how people's, everybody's mindset is different, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like you think about something completely different from what I think about something. A lot of people, you ask them the same question and you ask 100 people, you'll get 100 different answers.
Yeah.
Even with a basic question, like, what is your definition of success? That's one that's fairly common and the same. Most people are going to tell you worldly things.
Yeah, like money and fame.
Instantly. They'll go straight into that worldly stuff. To me, personally, and that's what I was going to ask you, how do you define success?
We talked about this. I define success as being free with God and being able to live my life, and just even if I'm just getting by.
Mm-hmm.
Success is having time to spend with my loved ones while still being able to do the things that I want to do. If
Mm-hmm.
I could just do that, I'd be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, like, I want to influence people, but I feel like that's like God's timing.
Yeah.
I think that's what success is to me. And me and my wife, she was, my girlfriend back whenever we were talking about this. We talked about, like, because I was making like Instagram reels back in the day before. I was probably saved at the time, but I wasn't like baptized and wasn't like I am now. I just want to blow up. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be successful. I want to be famous. I want to have all these followers. And we talked about fame from like the perspective of like, we talked about like Zach Bryan.
Yeah.
You know who Zach Bryan is, right? Like the country music singer.
Zach Brown?
No, Brian.
Zach Bryan?
He's newer, I guess. But
no.
I mean, a lot of people know him, but we're
I haven't heard of him.
he can't go anywhere and people not recognize him. But you look at it from anybody's famous perspective, and it's like, what do you get out of that? You have a lot of people that's in your life all the time, and now it's like, I think, look at it from a different perspective now. It's like with God, it's like, I don't really care to be successful in that way in fame. I care more about just being able to live my life the way I want to live it, how you're trying to live it now. And like the birds, you're saying, like, just go and do the things that I want to do, and just trust in God that I'm going to get by while I'm doing all these different things that I just want to do and I want to live, and just be able to get by and do different things.
Yeah. To me, success, it boils down to moving forward and not going backwards, and being happy with the person that I am, with all my interactions with people, how I treat people, how I bless people. It all comes from the heart. It's nothing outwardly. I don't directly link, or like, I don't directly connect anything in life as far as like status or things to success at all. I completely disconnect those things from success, because to me, the true meaning of success is to be a godly man that is the best man that he can possibly be in every walk of life, even in a situation to where people, because it gets hard too, like, trust me, there's times that I want to look at people dead in their face and give them your number one finger, and like, say stuff that I shouldn't say. Everybody falls prey to that. But whenever you can stop, no matter how mad somebody makes you, and choose to be a good person, and not even the better person, just a good person in general, and love everybody right where they're at, and try to be the best version of you that you can be in your heart and soul. That's the meaning of success to me.
And
That
being
is
just a better man in every aspect of life than you were yesterday.
a real godly man.
Agree.
That's success to me.
And I think I got this. I don't even know where it came from, but you can't be rich in this world and not rich in your heart. That, I think, is what comes first.
Yeah, for sure. And if you become rich in your heart, everything will come to you. That's the funny thing about it is, like, instead of fighting for it, why not just become rich in your heart and let everything just come to you? It's almost like receiving gifts. It's like it's like being a kid on Christmas. You're so happy and joyful that you woke up on Christmas morning, and then you just get all these free presents.
Yeah.
That's literally the perfect concept of how being a good Christian man is.
Or a man of God. And I feel like there's a true difference between having a religion with God and having a relationship with God.
Definitely
and I think that is a big thing that, like, I never really understood until God opened that door for me to get baptized and to really start living like a life of God and living the life with God.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah. No, I trust me. I feel that a lot. I mean, just being around, and not to like put anybody down or anything like that, but me being in church environments, I feel very, very much like the black sheep. Lots of times, because I'm the type of person that's a little edgy, I don't hide who I am. I'm like an open book. Like, I've done some horrible things in my life, and if I feel like it's gonna make a difference for me to come out and say it, I'll come out and say it, even though if it's something I shouldn't even speak upon. That's another thing that my wife told me one day, because I was having a really hard time sharing my testimony with people, because just like I said, it's very edgy. Some stuff I say to people I shouldn't say to people. But she looked at me and she told me this. She said, "You know what?" She said, "You're doing exactly what you were called to do." She said, "If people don't like you because of the testimony that you provide to them, or want to look down on you because of it," she said, "that's okay." She said, "You tell 100 people your testimony and 99 of them don't like you because of it, that's okay, because one person you're going to come across is going to it's going to make a difference in their life, and it's going to help save them and turn them toward God." And it's just like the shepherd finding the lost sheep. Sometimes you got to leave the 100, or sometimes you got to leave the 99 to find the one. So just keep on doing it. If somebody doesn't like you for who you are in every sense, then they don't belong in your life anyways.
100%.
That's just how it is.
If you have to change who you are to fit into a group or to fit into a crowd, then it's not even worth it.
Nope.
And I've been learning that, and I've learned that, and I feel like I've always kind of been like that until I got to college. Like, I've always been a man who was always, I might have been a little on the outskirts all the time, but in high school, like, we were in the circle, I'd be the one to never say anything. I could probably go through an entire, like, it's weird for me saying that now and thinking about it. I could probably go through an entire school day and say like 10 words, maybe, like, not even go to double-digit words with anybody at lunch, and through my entire school day, through sports, through the gym. I could just have my headphones in at the gym, not say a word to anybody. At practice, just do what I'm told. That's really how I live my life. And as soon as I got to college, I just tried to fit in with everybody.
Yeah.
And then since then, I'm learning that was not the way to do it.
Yeah. To want to fit in is a fleshly sin just as bad as any. Because just like I was saying, God will send you a team that loves you no matter where you're at, and will provide and help you and just, cater to your needs and your personality. God will put people like that in your life, no matter who you are. And and a lot of things, I have to keep that in my heart and keep faith on that, because a lot of the people that I grew up with, that I still care about to this day, that I can't have nothing to do with because they do horrible crap. It is a rough crowd, but I know that God's for them, and He's gonna save them. Like, I don't know when or how, but a lot of those people are gonna be touched by God, and I'm gonna be seeing them one day doing great like I am. Like, yeah, you made it out too. I love it. Love to see it.
I thought about something like this the other day, where it's like, why do you get better, and why do you want to live a life of God? And it's like, so that I can be better than I was yesterday, like we talked about. But what if I don't do that? and I do the other thing, and I'm just staying completely where I'm at. But God called me to go save somebody's life from the past, and you're not ready for that yet. You're not. You're not able to speak to them. You're not able to share because you don't feel like confident enough to go and share your own story, or like physically you don't look good enough, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But if you're ready for that and you just prepared, and God calls you to go talk to him, and you listen and you're open with ears, and you're like, okay, I could do it. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe you're put in those people's lives, even though they're behind you and they're kind of in the past. You're put in their lives at some point to turn around and go save them.
Yeah.
Like I was sharing that story with like being locked in the prison, and then once you get out, you could have complete freedom and just go leave, or you can turn around and go help that person that's locked in a cell next to you.
Yep.
And right after that, now there's two of you. Now you can go and save the third one, and then now there's another one. Now you can go save the next one.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how we're called to live our lives as like godly men, is to like live a life of freedom and authority and have power over your life to turn around and save the person next to you.
Yeah, definitely. I love that analogy. Whenever you said it to me the first time you said it, it speaks volume for sure. And like it's just one of those things, man, to where I don't know exactly what everybody's been through. Everybody's walk has been like. It's different for everybody. But I can tell you one thing: anybody who is broken or truly feels broken, you are on or been broken or beat down really hard. You are one of the most powerful forces on the front line of God's army. There's just no doubt about it. There's a reason that all the disciples were sinners and people that nobody wanted, who were basically discarded and credited, is because those are the only people who can reach the people who truly need to be helped. And that is a huge call as far as following God and being a man of God. You have to put yourself out there to save those people who are helpless. That's basically the purpose of us finding faith, is to bring it to other people too, because we want to grow heaven. We don't want people going to hell. I mean, it's unacceptable. We got to be warriors for Christ.
100%.
Just have to be.
Yeah, God uses he might put you through all these trials and tribulations and tests, but they're only to build you up. Because you might think about it as like a hard, dark time that you really can't get through. But once you get through it, you're able to share that story with people going through the same things, and that's what leads them closer to God.
Yep.
That's how you're able to save people. And you don't really think about it like that. Like, I mean, everybody gets stuck in one of those deep, dark holes that they just want to be, they just want to sit there in. And you think you're the only one going through that. And it's just being able to get through it and share that story with somebody and being able to relate to somebody. Yeah. I think that's how God's able to use it for somebody else.
It never goes away either. It never goes away. I mean, it's broken to think that just because you start walking as a man of faith that it's going to completely solve all your problems and you're never going to go through those feelings again. It will always help, and your problems will become way smaller, but God wants to test you so that you can grow and stretch. It's just like working out, You got to stretch your muscles for them to grow.
I have to stretch your spiritual muscle as well.
God is going to stretch you. It's not always going to be comfortable. It's not always going to be nice, but if you stick through it and retain your courageousness and your charisma to continue to be a man of God, and don't shrink up away from it, and you bow up and lean into it, it'll just explode your life with just such gratifying things. To me personally, my favorite thing about being saved since I've been saved has been, it's cool because whenever you start actually living like God wants you to live, you know how people constantly will tell people, you hear this story all the time. People will be like, I'm just tired of hearing that person preach to me. I don't want to hear nothing about that, Well, the cool thing about living a life of God is you don't even have to tell people. They see it. It shines off you. They notice it. Yeah. That's been one of the most unrealistic, or one of the most craziest things that I've realized since I got saved and started really diving into God, is being around some of my family members on my mom's side of my family who are in really rough places in their life. I don't even speak to them about Christ. Maybe I will a few of them a little here and there if I feel like they're ready for it. But all of them notice the difference.
It just naturally
changes.
Attracts godly people.
Yes, it does. It's attractive, dude.
And I started seeing that like at work. Whenever we'll walk in, there's like 3 or 4 of us there, and we just start talking about God like naturally. And I've never had that before in my life, where I just felt like open to be able to share that.
Yeah.
And normally it's looked at as like a bad thing. Like you were saying, like, oh, this guy's preaching to me, I don't want to listen to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's looked at as such a negative like connotation for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like I seen this, I think it was a reel on Instagram the other day. It was like, if you were given $1 million for how many times your best friend prayed today, how much money would you have? It's probably not much. It probably isn't. How much? If you were given $1 million for how much your wife prayed, or how much you probably wouldn't have much money. Probably wouldn't have none. Like, why is it looked at as such a bad thing to just openly pray to God every single day? And I had this question the other day, and I want to see if your thoughts behind it were the same as mine. It's like if Jesus was called in the Bible to like, I look at it like a water's in a bunch of different forms, like a solid, liquid, and a gas. So, and I feel like that's how it is in the Bible, where it's like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So if they're all kind of one of the same unit, why is Jesus praying to God so much? Why doesn't he just like know all the answers? I don't know what your thoughts are behind it, but
That's a good question, dude. That's a really good question.
Mine is like Jesus was called to live a life like us. So as a human, he was called to lead by example and be like, this is what you should be doing, is praying to God with everything.
Yeah.
And you retreat and spend time with the Father, and then you act. And you retreat and you spend time with the Father, and then you act. And that's just the example that I feel like he's showing to us, and he's leading by example in every way, shape, or form. And that's, I think, why he's doing that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of was my thinking behind it.
Yeah, no, you're totally right, dude. You have to lead with your feet on the ground. But that's a really, really good question, though. That's pretty cool that you thought that up. So, as far as like how you connected, like the liquid and the gas and the water and the solid of the water to the Holy Spirit, God and Jesus, that's a pretty phenomenal comparison. And yeah, like I think Jesus definitely knew without a doubt every right, every wrong, the most powerful person to ever walk the planet with a slight sprinkle of the human nature dabbled into him. But yes, basically what he was an eyes-on leader of just being boots on the ground. This is the path you need to walk. That's a pretty perfect explanation.
And you could never be perfect. Like he lived a life that was perfect, and still, had all the bad things happen to him. Got crucified, and he's like proven that like no matter what you do, you're never going to be perfect. But you still. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. If you're going through a rough time, you still pray to God every single day and ask him. If you're going through the best season of your life, you still pray to God for all the good things happen, and you say thank you for it. Yeah.
One cool thing about that too that I just thought of is, like, even though he was a perfect person and he had them imperfect things happening to him, like the weight of Satan tempting him and stuff that he had to work through to walk life like a human being, it's kind of fascinating because, where am I trying to go with this? So it's just really, really cool because I completely forgot where I was going.
No, you're good.
I had it, though. I had something good.
It's cool to see him like still take all the right paths, even though all the wrong things are thrown at him. Like all the things that humans deal with every single day, he had all that. Like he had all the temptations and all the bad things and all the...
Oh, the disconnect. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good.
But there's a disconnect. There's like a disconnect in the comparison of that, because he was a perfect person, but he still had bad things happen in his life. So bad things is not you. A lot of people like to conjoin the two. Like the bad things that happen to you, that's who you are, that's your life, it's part of your story. I mean, it is part of your story, but it doesn't have to be who you are.
And a lot of people relate that to like, I can't get saved because of all these bad things that I did.
Yes.
Or I'm not worthy to be saved. But like, I promise you, you're completely worthy to be saved.
Yeah, everybody is. That's a hard thing, having somebody who you love a lot to blame God, and you know that it's the best thing for them. Oh my gosh, man. I've been dealing with a rough situation in my life. I don't really want to throw my sister's business out there completely. I love her to death, but she lost a baby a couple years ago, and to something called SIDS. It's like an infant death syndrome to where it's sudden, and she just passed away like immediately. And my sister has had the hardest time coming to God, dude, and it hurts. She blames God because she doesn't know better, because she's never walked a life of faith like I'm walking now. And I'm just trying so hard to get her to lean into it and just show her, like, things happen for a reason, and God doesn't she's got herself thinking that God let this happen to her baby, and God lets things happen out of free will because that's how it was designed to be, like, that's what happened to her was not to keep her down, and she's keeping herself pent down because of it. And I just want to see her grow and flourish, because if she can come out of it, it's her testimony.
Yeah.
That's how she's going to save people.
That's how she's going to save people and lead people closer to God.
Exactly.
With using her story and everything that's happened to her.
But it's so hard seeing somebody who you love. Whenever you know what the Lord has done in your life and how big of a change it is, whenever you see somebody turn their back to it and not want to accept it, she just doesn't understand all the principles of it, basically. She's been becoming way more open to it over these past couple months. I've been having good conversations with her. She's been visiting me and my family a lot with her other daughter, and we let our kids play together, and they have a great time. And every now and then I'm able to sneak in a little word. It's crazy too, man, because literally God has given me more prophetic word to speak to my sister than anybody I've ever been around. It's like constantly. I will literally just be sitting with my sister in my living room, and I'll start saying stuff, and I act like it's all good in the moment, and then I'll literally go into my bedroom to go to bed at night, and I'll think to myself, like, where did that come from? Why do I even know that? Like, I know that's biblical, but I can never remember reading that. I can never remember anybody saying it. Like, why do I, like, God, it's like God literally just almost speaking through me without even me being able to, it's the craziest thing, man, but He's working on her. He's working on her and trying to touch her and her life and kind of mold her heart a little bit to lean more into Him. It's cool. I've been getting her to come to church with us a few times lately, and it's been a nice experience. It gets me all touchy, but it's crazy, man. Like, if you're a lover of people, you love, man.
Yeah.
That's how I am, man. I love uncontrollably.
It's a gift and a curse.
It is.
I feel like, because I'm like that too, where I feel like I see the best in people.
Yeah.
And there's people that, like, sometimes I just can't get them to wake up. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's one of the hardest things. Is I have, like, a friend that, like, I mean, he's older than me, but for a long time he just working the same job every single day, and I'm trying to get him to go do, like, something different and, like, come and join a bunch of different things and come to church, and it's just like trying so hard to get him there, but I know it's going to help him out so much. And it's like, you just see the best in people. Like, I know that him sharing his story, because he has one of those crazy stories, like crazy redemption stories. Yeah. And if he just, like, shares that, and he's able, like, you with your sister, it's the same way. Yeah. Right? If she's just able to share all her, like, troubles that she's went through with somebody else that's going through something similar, like, think about how it's going to affect them.
Yeah, for sure. Like, so aside from popular opinion, like, everything we do in this life has so much substance, and everything that we say has so much substance. And I was kind of skeptical on saying this, because it's not, common to hear a man speak like this, because men are supposed to be strong, good, courageous leaders. Yeah. And I opened up and said this to somebody the other day, and it was really hard to do, but it was good, because it was me recognizing a flaw in my life that I need to take care of. Me being raised without my father around and stuff, and no good male roles in my life, my mom having men in and out of her life growing up, I was forced to become a man on my own and learn to be a man and be strong. And I forced myself to be tough and strong. I fought all the time. I drank, I did drugs, just what I thought my worldly view of was being tough that would make people not want to screw with me. That's what I did growing up. And I became the hardest, calloused, most person that I could possibly be. And the worst thing about me becoming that person is that's never who I wanted to be or who God designed me to be. I'm a loving person that cares for people. That is the true Ricky Nelson. Like, literally, honestly, I love everybody to a fault, man. It's almost like literally somebody could beat me to a bloody pulp and it would hurt me 10 times more if you just didn't reciprocate my love. And that's with everybody. Every single person. It's weird, man. Like, and that's the person that God designed me to be. Not a tough guy, strong man who can control every situation. That was who I made myself become. And that's not who I was meant to be in the eyes of God. God made me a person who changes people's lives through love and comfort. I mean, it's hard for me to say that because it just sounds like something you would want from a woman. But at the same time, dude, that's the person that I am. Yeah. I want to love everybody. The most you can hurt me, like I said, is to not reciprocate my love that I'm giving to you. It cuts me like a knife, dude.
I agree with that. And I wanted to kind of share the opposite perspective because that's how I was growing up. I was one of those people who, like I said, I was very outcast. I very, rarely shared my opinions on anything. I didn't talk much. I normally got ran over, even though, I went to the gym every single day. I was physically strong, but I don't think I was mentally strong.
Yeah.
But not to the way where you would notice it.
Yeah.
I remember one of my football coaches told me, straight up, dude, you're just soft.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I'm working my behind off for you every single day.
Yeah.
What do you mean? And it's like society tells you you're supposed to be this big, strong man and, be physically and mentally tough. But as you're saying, that's not who I was called to be either.
It's not. It's not at all. It's hard whenever you have to come to the grips of that too, because it's just so hard. Because a lot of men, and I don't even care. I feel like I'm gonna get backlash, and men will look down on me for even saying that on something you're gonna post online. But I could care less, dude.
Yeah, I couldn't care either.
I'm meant to comfort people and love people. I'm done hurting people in my life. I've hurt enough people. Like you said, I got steamrolled whenever I was younger, just like you're describing, and I turned myself into the steamroller.
Yeah.
And that is not how you fight the battle of the devil in this world. That's not how you do it. It's almost like fighting fire with fire, the lesser of two evils. You're just making yourself an evil at that point. And
Agreed.
That's just not the man that I'm called to be. Now, the only thing that could bring those parts out of me, let somebody screw with my wife and kids.
Oh, yeah.
It'll come back out real quick, I'm telling you, but that's not who I want to be. That's not how I want it to be. Even in a situation like that, I would love to be able to gracefully move through a situation like that and my grace change somebody instead of having to fight force with force. But that's all I've known growing up without a father is being a strong man that can, because also too, I grew up with a mom and two sisters. Come on, dude, I'm surrounded by estrogen, forcing myself to be a man. I was constantly having as many dude friends at my house as I possibly could. Come on, let's do something crazy. And it just...
And I actually had one of those. I'm not talking bad about my dad whatsoever. I had one of those very strong, my dad's a drill sergeant in the Army, so he was always he was always super loud. He was always vocal. He was always he might have been, he was always mentally strong and physically strong. But we'd have conversations sometimes and it's I remember football and stuff, he'd just be sometimes yelling at me, we'd be having a conversation but he's just loud and I'd be tearing up, I'm not that person.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not how you get through to me. Talk to me in a different way and then I'm good. That's why I kind of, when it came to something I would relate it to my dad so much and I love him so much, that's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
But whenever it came to something hard that I needed to talk about, I'm going to my mom. She's more nurturing and she's more calm and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the difference in having both family members. It's my dad, I love him. We go to the gym all the time. We work hard together. He showed me what it looks like to have a good work ethic and to have how to be better than I was yesterday, we're saying. But my mom was always more nurturing. So if it came down to either me having to ask for something or me talk to my mom about something hard, I'm going to my mom because she's more nurturing and more and it's kind of it's one of those things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Women are just naturally more nurturing, but I feel I want to be that person that no matter what my kid is going through, he's always open to talk to me about
it. Yeah, for sure.
And I've seen Steve Weatherford talks about it a lot with his dad growing up, and he's he was very calloused. It was hard for him to talk about like saying that I'm proud of you for everything that you're going through right now. I'm proud of, the man that you've become. And sometimes that's just what you need to hear.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Because, like going back like into what we were saying earlier about how we were comparing people's idea of success.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same thing with what we're talking about now. Like, it's different across the board in so many different ways. Like, I mean, to me, being a good, strong man literally has nothing to do with how tough or mean you are. That's what men like to believe. Like, being tough and mean. Because, like, dude, I mean, and it's one of those things that's really silly if you think about it. Because, dude, honestly, literally, like, I can force myself to be as tough or as mean as anybody. That's one of my problems. Situations like that. Somebody makes me mad, I'm willing to just about fight just about anybody. I don't want to argue with people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like using my words whenever I get angry. I'll shell up as far as my mouth's concerned. I won't say a freaking word. I'll just be ready to come to blows. And that is a dangerous thing. But at the end of all that, it is way easier to do that than it is to show grace in a situation like that.
Agreed.
And, like, it's so much more rewarding. I love it how God does that. He makes the easy things, the things that aren't worth anything in your life, and the hardest things, the things that have the most value. That's an awesome concept.
And I wanted to talk about this because it's in the Bible, and we're kind of talking about it right now. I don't know if you've ever heard the story of like King David and King Saul.
Mm-hmm.
You heard the story about what happened to them. So what happened was basically Saul hunted down King David because basically everybody like loved him.
Yeah.
Everybody loved him to death, and because of that, King Saul was kind of jealous. So he was jealous of King David and actually sent his men to like hunt him down and kill him, like his entire army to go kill, King David and all of his army. So they were all hiding out in the mountains. Like King David and his army was hiding out in the mountains. There was probably like, 15 to like 20 men that were all hunted down, and they've been running for, months on end away from their families and away from their wives. And they're hiding out in these mountains which have like thousands and thousands of caves. And what happened was, they're out in the mountains like hunting them down, and King Saul just had to go, relieve himself, like go pee.
Yeah.
And he just happens to walk right into the same cave that,
Right.
that King David and all his friends were in.
Yeah.
And all his like armies in, and he just walks in, and everybody's like, King David is like, he's a bad man, like he's killed a lot of people, and he's like this like warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, as soon as they see King Saul walk in there, they're like, yeah. And his army, it's like God just handed him over to him. Like, we know what's about to happen. King David's about to kill him. He's about to behead him. And what does King David do? Like, he walks up to him and he bows his knee. And he's like, I'm not going to kill you. You got to think about it. Even though you've had me for months and months running away from my family and away from my kids, like, I forgive you for everything.
Yeah.
And I forgive you for everything that you've done and all your wrongs. And then God has called you to lead and be a king right now.
Yeah.
And I respect that so much, and I'm never going to deny my God.
Yeah.
And then he like truly forgives him. And what does King Saul do? King Saul's like, okay, like whenever you're king, will you please just take care of my family
Mm-hmm.
and my kids and stuff. And David says, yeah. And, they kind of have their truce. And then, right after this, they go back to the same exact thing. King Saul still, hunts him down, tries to kill him throughout until his days are done, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then what does King David do? He becomes king, and he lived out everything. Like, he's like, yeah, I took care of all his kids, all his family. They actually were able to sit at the king's table, and he took care of all of them until he passed away.
Yeah.
And, like, he could have easily just killed him.
Yeah.
God handed him over, like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're called as Christian men to have a heart like David. Like, it's talked about so much in the Bible, and he wrote a good portion of the Bible.
Yeah.
And like you said, you could easily have escalated the situation and just killed him. And David may not have been the person he was after that. And God handed him over to do whatever he wants, and he chose to bow his knee and just forgive him for everything that he's done instead of killing him.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not super educated on the Bible. It's something that I'm working on, something that I lack on, that I should do way more, that I'm trying to get a consistent pace of getting into. But I couldn't help to think, I don't know if it was the same story or another story, but I know there's another story in the Bible. It may have been the same story, to where I thought it was the same story, where somebody was like tracking somebody down and wound up in a cave, and he caught him like dead to rights, and instead of killing him, he walked up behind him and cut his tunic. He like cut a piece off of it or something like that.
I think he did cut his cape or something.
Yeah, and then showed
like
it to him like I had you. Like,
it might have been the same story.
I'm not sure, but like that is a perfect example. So it probably the same story. But that's a perfect example of what I was trying to describe. Through that whole rant that I just went on about wanting to be a kind, loving person. It's like you don't have to fight fire with fire. You don't have to be that guy. You can show grace and mercy. You don't have to one up somebody. You can still show grace and mercy and still be a tough guy in your heart and soul. You don't have to put it out there to show how tough you are. And to me, it's just, that's one of the most aggravating things that men do, dude, is like getting into a peeing contest about everything and poking each. To me, it's just distasteful. It's like, you don't have to be in competition with anybody. It just makes everything like, a lot of men thrive off of it and love it. I think it's the weirdest thing.
And you have to think about it
whatever
through sports, and you grow up watching sports, and you play sports growing up like all the time. It doesn't matter what you do. You're all the time competing with somebody.
Yeah.
It doesn't even. You go to school. You're competing to get an A.
Yeah.
You go play sports. You're competing to win.
Yeah.
You spend most of your life competing with all the people around you.
Yeah.
When now in reality, I'm looking back at it. It's like, man, all these people just have these massive gaps that need to be filled.
Yeah.
And it can only be filled with God.
Yeah.
So you could spend your time just trying to compete with them, or you can spend your time trying to complete them. And I feel like that's what God has, really spoken in my life lately. Like, whenever you go, just think about it like from a gym perspective. Like you could spend your entire workout just trying to, one up and do a little bit more weight than the person you're working out with, or you could help them out. You could help train them and, educate them, or like just do little things to be helping them out instead of competing with them.
Yeah, just kind of like you saying that, you know what I can tie directly to that type of behavior also that kind of gave me that little bit of stability and knowing you don't have to prove anything. Going to an MMA gym whenever I was young. Because boy, I went in there 38, hot, young kid, hot-headed. I walked in there and thought I was about to walk the dog on everybody. But I ain't never been so beat up in my entire life. I went in there and boy, them juggers took rounds on me.
Yeah, humbled real quick.
Oh, I'm talking about, because you go into an MMA gym, people don't walk around like that.
Yeah.
Everybody is humble. Nobody's walking around trying to fight everybody. Most gyms, if you go into a good gym that's close like a family, that's like MMA or any type of martial arts related, they're very, very passive and humble. And then killers lurking amongst the group. You don't know who it is. But the first MMA gym I ever went to when I was younger, I went in there trying to spar and fight everybody, dude, and going crazy, just throwing power bombs and stuff. And dude, boy, they ganged up on me big time. They made me do rounds with everybody in the gym, and you already know they saved last for me, the kickboxing coach, and dude, I'll never forget the little Spanish guy, dude, he tore me a new one, dude. He busted my nose so bad, bro, like I was leaking all over their daggone octagon and stuff. It was so funny. I learned a valuable lesson that day, though, like, you don't have to prove anything. You don't have to prove how good you are, because at the end of the day, even if one person can't get you, there's a group of people that will.
That's true.
They'll wear you down. 3 minutes at a time. Beep. It's pretty funny, though. It's cool, though. It was a cool experience. It helped me a lot with my anger issues as a kid, doing martial arts.
I think mine was like the gym. That was like my release from everything growing up. Like, doesn't matter what someone says to me, or doesn't matter if, like I said, I just go through my entire day and not say anything. That was like my release. That was like my, I don't know. That was just like my sanctuary.
Yeah. There's so much God in all these life experiences too.
Yeah,
there was God all up in that gym. It's so cool to think about that. How embedded and entwined God is into everything that we do and everything that is. That's super fascinating.
It is super fascinating to see how God can use some just different moments that you feel like you're just like, oh, man, I'm going through it right now.
Yeah.
And He's able to take that story and use it in somebody else's lives and completely just like flip a switch in them, like try to open up their eyes to what life is and what life should be, and how to help them get through that tough situation.
Yeah, because you can That's one cool thing that I've liked since I gotten saved too. You can look back on past memories, even whenever you weren't saved, and you can tie God into everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that's happened to you, every opportunity, where He's shown you grace, where He's been a little hard on you. That's so fascinating to me. That it all correlates through your whole life.
I wanted to read this real quick because it kind of relates to what we're talking about.
Okay.
And it was just kind of random how it worked, because we kind of bounce back and forth between the Bible, reading a bunch of different things. But yeah, we just randomly just prayed the other day and opened the Bible, like me and my wife did, and this is what it flipped to, and it kind of relates, and I like it. So it says, this is in Psalms 84. This is going to be 10 through 12. It says, "A single day in your courts is better than 1,000 anywhere else. I'd rather be a gatekeeper in the house of God than live a good life in the home of the wicked. For the Lord God is our sun and our shield. He gives us grace and glory. The Lord will withhold no good things from those who do what is right. O Lord of heaven's armies, what joy for those who trust in you." And I don't know why, I just love it. It's like the Lord will withhold no good things from those who do what is right.
Yep.
And that's so good, and that really spoke to me.
It's powerful. Dude.
That is powerful.
That's a powerful verse right there.
We randomly flipped to it the other day. I didn't even know if I was going to share it, and I happened to have a bookmark right there, and I was like, yeah, let me see what I can do.
That's what I love about it.
I think this is another verse in the Bible. I'll link it down in the description, but it's God doesn't call the qualified, but He qualifies the called.
Oh yeah.
And I love that so much, because I think, like, you don't think that God's called you for something, and you may not think you're qualified to do the job, or you may not think you're qualified to live a life that He called you to live, and you just have to continue, like we've been saying, like just walk in faith every single day whenever the distance is unknown and you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
But you just have to continue just to walk with God every single day, and He's going to slowly build you up into the man that can do all these great things.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And the like this verse says, like He's going to withhold no good things if you do what's right.
Yep. That's right. I've been trying to live by this one verse. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to live by that, dude. I say
That's
that all the time, just because I want nothing coming out of my mouth and out, because out your mouth overflows the abundance of your heart. And I don't want anything coming out my mouth that is nothing less than positive and uplifting to every single person who I come across, either in my life closely or at distance. I want nothing but grace to be poured upon anybody who I come across, and people I don't even know,
And you never know, like, who's God going to throw in your life. You could just say like 10 words to them, and it might completely change their day, and it might make their day.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could do the exact opposite. It could be like a knife. You know what I'm saying? And you just have these, you never know why someone's thrown in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've kind of shared this before. I had this guy like in the gym. He's like 65 years old. He just randomly stole my equipment. Like he hopped in and like, I was doing like pec flies, and he just jumped in and started doing chest flies. And I'm like, in the moment, I'm like, dude, like, what the heck are you doing? Like, I'm so frustrated.
Yeah.
And he just gets off and he just starts flexing on me. He's like, God is good. God is good. And I start talking to him, and he's this man that, dude, I'm talking to him, and I end up praying over him, and I tell him, and he's like, I used to be a drug addict. I used to be an alcoholic, and now it's been my entire days just building God's temple and going around and sharing His word. And I'm friends. He's like a 65-year-old guy, but he's shredded. He's pretty shredded.
Right.
And recently I felt called to give him like a Jesus is King shirt. So I ordered him one and gave him one the other day in the gym, dude. And I never knew, like, he just started opening up to me about all this stuff, and he like goes around and like shares the word everywhere. Like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Where he goes around to different countries and stuff, and
going on
mission trip. Yeah, he goes on mission trips all the time, and that's all he does.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it's so cool to like see the lives that he's able to change. And he never would have shared that with me, and I never would have prayed with him, and I never would have even talked to him if he didn't come over and just steal my equipment.
Yeah.
And now I see him in the gym every single day. I walk up and talk to him and give him a handshake and tell him I hope he's having a great day. And I'll hear him in the gym, and he's like 65 years old. He doesn't have any headphones. He doesn't have anything. He'll be singing like Christian worship songs just out loud. And it's the coolest thing, I think. Because he is completely just himself.
Yeah.
And he's okay with that. Doesn't matter what anybody else says about him. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about him. And I feel like that's how everybody should live their life, in complete freedom to just be whoever they want to live and never adapt to the situation you're in or the environment that you're in.
Yeah. That's where I want to be. You know?
Yeah,
I'm still a work in progress, dude. Like, I'm not trying to act like I'm perfect or super well, like educated on the Bible, like I've said about 6 times in this thing. I don't know everything.
I don't either.
Like,
I'm trying my best
to figure it out.
to read every single day, and there's like certain ways that I do it. If you read, this is kind of where I started. If you read 1 Proverbs a day and 5 Psalms a day, and they're pretty short. Like, look, you can see 4 on this page.
Yeah.
1 Proverbs and 5 Psalms a day, you can get through all of it in a month.
Yeah.
And it's a good place to start because Psalms is written by King David, who we've talked about, who literally has a heart like God, and God literally loved him so much.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I forget. I think it's written by King Solomon, I think is his name. I'll have to go back and talk about that and kind of add that in there. But it's the richest man in the Bible.
Yeah.
So why would you not want to learn for somebody who is rich?
Yeah. I've done the main disciples in the New Testament. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Peter.
Who's your favorite men in the Bible? Like man in the Bible? What's your favorite story?
Saul. Of course, dude.
Yeah.
It's ruthless, dude.
Yeah.
It's just cool. Just like an absolute warrior, dude. But like being softened by God and everything that's happened to him. And like I said, I'm not like perfect on the story and everything, but I know somewhat of it. You know what I really thought? The funniest thing is because my 2 favorite are on both ends of the spectrum. It would be him and then immediately after Mathew. Yeah. Like, dude, Mathew was just,
it's funny seeing how the story and know your story to know how it relates to you. And my favorite, if you've ever heard, is Gideon. Because Gideon was an underdog, and I felt like an underdog my entire life, so that's why I relate to it so much.
That's right. I'm not really, really super, super well known on Gideon. I don't even think, is Gideon actually a chapter in the Bible?
Yeah.
Or is it a person, or it's an actual chapter?
I think it's a chapter. I have to go back and make sure, but I know it's in there.
I'll try to look that up and read it. Right now, me and my wife are doing the chronological order. So every night we open it up and we do a couple chapters, and then so basically that just through all the Old Testament and through all the New Testament in order.
Like it's it jumps big you
around to where it's in order.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
it's a big scary book. Hunter said he's reading it from front to back, and I was like, I could never do that.
Yeah.
And it's just not how my mind would work, and I don't feel like I'd get as much out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like, you ever heard the quote by Jackie Chan, where it's like what man would you fear the most? The man who learns 1,000 kicks one time, or the man who learns one kick 1,000 times?
Oh yeah.
So that's how I am. Is you could go and you could read that Proverbs and Psalms. You could read that 12 times.
Yeah.
In the entire year, and you could be just know everything right off the top of your head, or you could read everything. And I don't think that's just how I'm wired. I don't think I'd get as much out of it reading everything front to back.
Yeah, there was a kid that was in jiu-jitsu class. His parents put him in jiu-jitsu classes because he wanted to do jiu-jitsu, and he was born missing his arm up to his elbow. And they put him in jiu-jitsu classes, and he was about to go do a tournament in a couple of months. And the whole entire time he was in a jiu-jitsu class, the guy who was training him made him do one move. Never had him do anything else. He got into his tournament, wiped the floor with every single person, beat him almost instantly with the same exact move. And he was asking him why. He was asking his coach, why was I able to beat everybody so easy with the same move? They all knew exactly what I was gonna do. He said because you got that move so strong, it was hard for people to defend, and also the only way to defend it is to grab your right forearm. He literally taught him a move that was tailored to his disability.
That is funny.
That's a real story too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He wiped the floor on a competition because he was missing half of his arm, because the only way to successfully get out of the hold that he was in was by grabbing the wrist on that arm that he was missing to pry the arm off. He didn't have an arm to grab, so there was no way to get out of it. It's in.
That's funny.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Here's something else I just wanted to ask you and talk about with you, during your walk with faith and everything.
Yeah.
How has your relationship with your wife changed, and how has she, led you closer to God and everything like that?
Dude, man, so I'm gonna be straight up about it, man. It's a man's job and to lead his family, And I'm 100% A-okay with saying this. My wife has taught me more than any man has ever taught me. Any pastor that I've had, anything. My wife is the true essence of a good, faith-following, God-fearing woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she puts her heart and her life and her soul on it. She will not deviate from what is right. It's almost unreal, dude. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. She is so she can't deviate from what's right. She can't do it. Like, it would literally almost, you would think it would kill her. She won't, even if it puts her down, she will do what's right every time. And she has taught me what I need to be like to be a good husband and a good father and a good leader in our family, and my role and the things that I'm supposed to do. She showed all of it to me. Mm. There hasn't been a man in my life that's taught me how to lead a family correctly. My wife, dude, she whipped me up in shape real fast, but in the kindest, most loving way. You know, it's crazy, man. Like, me and my wife have a weird relationship, dude. It's like, so we're going on 5 years of marriage this year. We've been together for 7, or we've been together for 6, and dude, it's just crazy, bro. Like, one thing that I can tell anybody that's in a relationship or is like an early marriage or something like that, communication is the key. Because that's one thing that me and my wife do not do. We have disagreements like everybody does, but we do not argue. Like, we will not argue with each other. It's like a situation to where, like, if we have a problem, we sit down in a quiet place and we figure it out together. We don't raise our voices at each other. We don't curse at each other. I mean, it's, for the most part, it's weird, you know, because like growing up, I had a bunch of different relationships with different girls, and I was always the type of person, this sounds kind of screwed up and sick, but I loved a toxic relationship with a female. Growing up, I don't know what it was. There was just something that I loved about it, and finding a graceful woman like my wife whenever I got saved. Funny thing about me and Alyssa getting married, or me and Alyssa being together and married, is whenever I came over here, before I even got saved, the first day I went to church, she was the first person at the church that I met. Mm-hmm. And I literally looked at her and knew that I was going to marry her and be with her for the rest of my life. I asked her out the next day. She told me no. Wouldn't let me take her out for over a year, literally. And then it's funny because she ended up coming to me and asking me to take her out on a date after. And I was getting close to giving up, honestly. I was like, man, I've been at this for a year. Maybe she's just not interested. I should just back off. She's probably starting to think I'm just a creep, daggone weirdo. And then randomly she just messaged me, asked if I was still willing to take her out on a date. I said no, I just enjoy asking all the time. That's so funny. Yeah, but it's like, it was cool how it happened, because whenever she decided to let me into her life.
When's that?
After I finished the Men of Honor program.
Oh yeah?
She was watching me the whole time, dude.
That's sweet. Just watching you and you grow in your faith and grow in your relationship.
I could search through our text message history to whenever we first started talking. It would probably take a million years, but that was one of the very first things she asked me whenever she asked me if I still wanted to take her out on a date. She said, "You just went through the Men of Honor program, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "That's awesome. That's a great accomplishment." She's like, if you still want to take me out on a date, I'm open to it. And I was just like, like, let's go, dude. Like, it was so funny. But yeah, I love my wife, man. You know, it's been phenomenal. And that's kind of the goal of marriage. You know, you want it to be long lasting and fruitful and healthy. You want it to be healthy. Worst thing you can do in your relationship is let your communication fail. And you know, like they'll tell you in marriage counseling, you know, you wanna do the thing a lot. That helps too. But
it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's actually the one who led me to the Lord. Like, after years and years and years of like not going to church and stuff. Like, I think like the first week we met, she like invited me to church, and I was completely hungover. Like, I probably still smelled like alcohol whenever I walked in there.
Yeah.
And was like falling asleep and stuff, but it changed my life forever.
Yeah.
Because we started going every single Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And like we had something crazy happen where she's like the person who she's everything that I'm not. Let's put it like that. But she completes me.
Yeah, for sure.
She's a person who she led me to the Lord, and I see just the change in her after everything that's happened to her, and she eventually like shared her story with me, with like her dad and everything. Yeah. It's like seeing how someone can come out of such a a tough place in such a hard situation and still be faithful it just blows my mind. And I could never like thank her enough for leading me to the Lord, and she pretty much directed that entire thing. Like I would never be the man I was today if it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
I think you could probably speak on. I don't know.
Yeah. Dude, what I kind of thought was interesting about how it played out with me and Alyssa is because she didn't realize it, but the first day I met her, I knew that I was going to be married to her and we were going to have kids. Literally, almost within 5 minutes of us talking. It was the funniest thing. She didn't know it yet, but I knew it.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy how it turned out, dude. Because instead of her letting me walk right into her life, she waited to see what I was going to do with it. She wanted to watch me. I mean, she's told me that too. She's watched me, like she wanted to watch me grow and see if I was really going to be a man of faith because, my wife went through a horrible abusive divorce and before we got together and very, very abusive mentally, physically, and she was scared to let another man in unless she felt like she knew that it was going to be the right person. And that's a horrible thing. I wish that upon nobody. Especially for somebody as loving and caring and as good as my wife is, dude. Because, dude, bro, my wife is like a butterfly, dude. She floats around and just does not want anything but love and sunshine. That's the craziest thing. She doesn't have a hateful bone in her body to imagine that she could be abused by somebody. And she's not tough either. My wife is not a rough, tough person, dude. She's very soft. She loves to read books and be kind and just a very, very easy person. And to me, that's exactly what I needed in my life. Kind of draw me in a little bit, slow me down. But God, dude, I wish we wouldn't even start talking about this because I could sit here and talk about my wife for forever, dude. God sent me the perfect person, dude. I'm just so glad that I still feel that way. It's cool, dude, because even being 5 years in marriage, dude, it's like, dude, I can't. It's like I'm just so naturally drawn to this woman. I can't we'll be,
can't even explain it.
We'll be out and I'm just like touching her. I'm like kissing her like a million times, and like I see people who have been together for 5 years, they're like 5 foot away from each other, not even talking to each other. Yeah, I can't relate to that. I
just share like one of those just special relationships with her. We can talk about anything, communicate with anything, and one like she's the one who led me closer to God. And God like gave me told me, sent her into my life, I think, to change my life and then to be the person I lived my entire life with. Yeah. And it's just like, you heard like our story about like how she literally handpicked. It's been like my favorite verse since I was like a little kid. And I used to like write it on my whiteboard as a kid. And like whenever I got my own like room and stuff, like in college and then like after college, I have a whiteboard I'd write the verse on all the time. And it wasn't on there this day. I like just changed it recently and took it off. And we decided to open the Bible this day, and she handpicks my favorite verse out of the Bible. I had no idea what it was. Really? There's 13,000 verses in the Bible, over 13,000. She hand flips to my favorite verse and reads it. Yeah. And it's just like mind blowing to think that. And then right after that, like we started talking all about purpose, because at this time, like it was like the first of the year, and we started talking about New Year's resolutions. I was like, my only true like New Year's resolution this year is to find God's true purpose for me. And that was a big question for me, because after I played sports my entire life, I didn't really know what my purpose was, and I lost that. Yeah. And we started talking all about purpose, and then this is like on a Saturday, Sunday rolls around, Pastor Mark is preaching all about purpose. Yep. And he ends the entire sermon with my favorite verse that we were just talked about like yesterday.
If like, that ain't enough, 1 in a trillion, probably 1 in 100 trillion chances.
That happening. And it's not only that, I called like my youth pastor, who like I'm super close with. He's like basically my older brother. Yeah. And I called and like told him like what just happened. Like, dude, I just gave my life to God for the first time. This is all telling him the story. And he's like, dude, you're never gonna believe this. And he sends me a picture of his devotional that morning. It's all about purpose, and it ends with that same exact verse. I was like, that's just God's way of telling me like, if you just set your entire life down and put everything on me, I'm gonna set your path straight. And I'm going to show you, start putting the people in your lives that you need to be around. I'm going to start opening doors that, need to be open, and close the doors that you don't need to go down anymore. Yeah. And that's exactly what he did to me, because as soon as I started walking a life of God, like I didn't need to drink no more. I didn't need all these earthly things anymore. And I started like finding all these people that like, dude, this guy's really like put you in my life. He put Hunter in my life. He put, all these people who are true men of God. Yeah. And just continues just to pour into me.
Mm-hmm. Are we doing good on time?
Yeah, we're good.
I wanted to ask you.
You want to wrap it up real quick?
No, we're good.
You're good.
I got time.
I'm
I just
fine.
wanted to make sure you weren't going to be late to work.
No, I'll be okay.
There was one other question that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Kind of related to what we were talking about. It was, so whenever you got saved at first, was it instant, like you were all in at the moment of like going to church and being saved? Was it like instant, or did you struggle and fall back and like fall in between? It was like you were going 3 steps up a ladder, 2 steps back.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was. So I felt like I was headed in the right direction, but I always had times of like relapses. Like at this time, I mean, I'm going to be completely open and honest. Like I struggled with porn at the time.
Yeah.
I struggled with alcohol at the time. I struggled with a lot of different things.
All that, me too.
And it's just like, it's so hard. I tried to give everything I could to God around that time. And it's the Men of Honor program. It was probably like 4 or 5 months later than that time. But that is what completely changed my life.
Bro, me too.
That's what, like, I started giving everything up to God. And then I got baptized and it just like confirmed everything. Like since then, it's like, I don't feel the need to do anything anymore.
Yeah, that's how it was with me too. That's super interesting. The reason I wanted to ask you that is because I don't know. I guess it's just kind of doubt that creeps in with me. Like it was hard for me to get there, dude. Like whenever I first started going to church, it was hard for me to fall in line and get in that swing of things. Like I had been in church for like 2 months and I was making horrible decisions, dude.
Yeah.
Like I told you about the night that I went out for the UFC fight with my buddy, how crazy of a night that is. I had been in church for like 2-3 months at that point, and I'm out on a Saturday, daggum, doing blow and fighting college kids whenever I'm almost 30 years old, or whenever I'm like in my mid-20s. It's just horrible, dude. Horrible decisions. And like whenever I got into the Men of Honor program, I've told people that even though I don't go to Canvas anymore, I tell people all the time, dude, you want to start a good faith-based relationship with God, Canvas is the place for you to be. Go to Canvas, and if you're a young man, get into the Men of Honor program, because that will lay a foundation for your whole entire future, for you to know what it is to be a good God. It'll put you on the right path, you know. It was like almost like the Men of Honor program and Canvas gave me a perfect foundation. It just kind of like how God talks about planting on healthy soil. Like I built that foundation through Canvas and the Men of Honor program, and then since then, all the building me up has been wise people in my life, like my wife, you know, even like you know, pouring into me with that prophetic word that one day sprinkling a little bit here and there, and the walls are coming up. It's like my house gets more and more built as I go because of people like you.
And even the connections that you build while you're in the Men of Honor program.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like I still talk to some of those guys, to this day.
Yeah, you know Amelia Chapel?
I'd have to see him maybe. I think I've heard that name.
He's one of the leaders there. He's the one who talked me into getting in the Men of Honor program. He pressured me. He seen the point where I was at. He was one of the few people. It was so funny, dude. Whenever I started going to Canvas at first, I would walk in there and I would literally, you know how big Canvas is. Yeah. I would walk in there and not talk to nobody. Yeah. I'd literally walk in there. I'd be like sitting in a corner looking at everybody with my back to the wall, like all you people in here. Like, I don't know what's going on. That's how it was for months for me. And then out of nowhere, here comes Emilio Chapel, dude. Great man. As a matter of fact, I need to call him sometime soon. He just kind of just approached me one day, started talking to me, and ever since then, it was like, I will say that for him, and at this point, I'm living with good, godly men. I'm living with Richard and Tristan and Lance, but something about my relationship with Emilio and how he approached me and kind of pulled me in, and the things that he was saying oh, dude, it slingshotted my progress forward. Like, the things that he started saying to me is the reasons that I stopped making decisions like the one, like that night going out after I've been going to church for a couple months. He said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, Rick, it was basically, I almost said it to you a minute ago, I quoted it. He said, man, you do a whole bunch of bad stuff. You've been a bad person for a long time. He said, that's the easy way out. He said, that's what easy men do. He said, doing the right thing and coming here every day and praising God and being good to people, that's the hard thing. That's what makes you a real man. Yeah. And dude, that crap burned into my soul. I was just like, oh my God, he's so right. Yeah. It's so much harder to do what's right than do what's wrong. Doing what's wrong is just easy.
It's just easy.
It's easy. Which it's like that for a reason. The devil makes it that way so he can hook, line, and sinker pull you in.
Yeah.
I growing up, dude, I was a horrible sucker to temptation, dude. I was that guy who hung out with horrible people that if something needed to be done that nobody wanted to do, I'd hear my name come out. And I was as much as I hate to say this now, I've always been a yes man. It don't matter, dude. Somebody could ask me to do something dumb, put me in prison the rest of my life, I'd be like, let's go.
Yeah, let's go do it.
No questions asked. Whose car we taking? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's so bad. It's so bad, but that's easy. It's bad, but it's easy.
It's easy to fall into that. And I think what we were touching on earlier was like, you talking about like the ladder, like, you know, you can go up it, but sometimes you still fall back down sometimes. And I think it's okay because you struggle with all that stuff. And it's okay. Some stuff you just can't quit like cold turkey. You know what I'm saying? You can't just stop. But it's leading in the right direction, knowing what you should do. And then I feel like once I got saved and once, you know, all that stuff happened and we started going to the Men of Honor, I started feeling worse and worse every time I did something bad. And I was like, God telling me, like, you shouldn't be doing this.
Make you feel like you want to puke.
Yeah. And it's feel like I don't know, it's like God talking to you, like, you know, you shouldn't be doing this. I feel like that's just how it is. That's the difference. It's whenever you're doing bad things and you don't feel bad about it, I think that's the difference. And you start doing all the bad things and you start feeling really bad about it. That is, I think, the real difference.
Yeah, whenever that conviction sets in, it's almost like, I don't know if you have the same feeling of it, but the way you just described it, whenever that started doing a work in my life, it would literally make me sick, like I was gonna vomit. Like I would be so sick to my stomach. I would do something and in the moment it would be so easy and I would do it and the mistake would have been made, but I'd think about it whenever I would slow down minutes later, and I would literally be sitting thinking, feeling like I'm gonna vomit.
And another thing that I noticed in that moment is I feel like now I feel God like talk to me so much. And then it's like, maybe it's because of my own mind is like just feeling unworthy that he doesn't speak to me as much then whenever I'm doing all the bad things. But whenever I'm doing all the good things and all the stuff I'm supposed to be doing, God speaks to me so much more.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be or not, but that's how I feel. I feel that's how it works in my life.
I think that's definitely how it's supposed to be.
Like you cloud your mind with all the bad things, and I think that's maybe like you said, like the devil kind of, you know, filling your minds with all like getting you to drift and getting you to want to do all the bad things.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you feel unworthy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you are unworthy. You know what? You can stay in that place, but you have to just tell him that, hey, like, you're a defeated foe. You know, you're underneath me. Yeah. And, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I want to know what you think about this, too. So I watched a sermon the other day that a lady at church sent us. Crazy guy. I forget his name. I'm going to get it, and I'll send it to you later. But he's hilarious. He's almost like a comedian, but it's so good. And I have been having trouble, even 7 years into my faith, dude. You know, I'm realizing that because I don't hear the audible voice of God does not mean that he's not speaking to me in some sort of a way. I felt like I've had a problem distinguishing his path for me and what he wants for me and what he's trying to tell me against my own thoughts. And I can't conflate the two. And this is what this guy says. He literally, I'm watching this sermon that this lady sent me. He's the first person I've heard speak on that topic. And it wasn't anything I've really said to anybody. But he said, your words are God's words. Your thoughts are God's thoughts. So if you think something, it's from either one or two people, the devil or God, but you have to trust and step out and believe that what you're thinking is what God is telling you. Like, it was weird how I can't describe it the same way, but it was perfect.
The way that I picture it and the way I think about it is your relationship with God, right? Yeah. So say, you know, I have a phone and my mom calls me. It could be from any single number. You know what I'm saying? She just picks up and I answer it and I hear my mom's voice. Like, I know it's my mom. Yep. I know that's my mom on the other line. But if it's somebody who from 8th grade, you know what I'm saying, that I haven't talked to since 8th grade and I don't have a relationship with that person no more, and they call me and it's from a random number and I answer it and I'm like, hello, who is this? And they tell me, and it's like, I don't even know who you are. You know what I'm saying? I think that is it. The more of a relationship that you have with God, I feel like the more that you're able to open your ears and listen to him. And that's, I think, the best way I've ever heard that described.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I agree with that. It's just, I mean, you know, and it's one of those things, like I'm saying, like I'm still growing. I'm not there where I want to be, but that's something that I get confused with, is trying to separate my own thoughts and ambitions to what God's truly trying to tell me and calling me to do. And because it's just weird, dude. Like I'm such a literal person about so many things. It's like it's hard for me to have faith and to not guess whether it's my own way of thinking if it's not audible.
It's a hard thing to describe.
It is
too whenever it happens, because I feel like
though,
everybody has different gifts and spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
And I feel like one that is mine is God really does speak to me. He spoke to me to talk to you that one day, and he gives me these visions sometimes to talk about, and I don't really know why in the moment, but I feel like that's just different things that he gives me and he shows me. I think everybody's is different.
Yeah. I think it's doubt and fear in my own heart too of making a wrong decision and letting the Lord down as far as my life's concerned. I mean, because but with the process that we're talking about, what I'm going through right now too, it's helping me relate to that more, because what I'm realizing is I'll get it more the more I let go. If I let go and just let be, that's whenever I'm starting to, that's how I've been experiencing it more lately. Seems like the more I let go of what I feel like I want to control, that I think that I can control but I know that I can't, that's the more God's kind of pulling me along and opening up my ears.
And I think this is good too for people who are trying to be like that, and to change really and lead a life closer to God. There may not be some more things that you need to start doing. There might need to be some things that you need to stop doing.
Stop doing, for sure.
I think that's good. I think that is a lot of it, maybe.
No, yeah, for sure.
For different people.
Definitely. It's he opens up doors constantly for you in your life in a good way, and people are constantly praying for God to open up doors, but people rarely pray for God to shut doors.
Yeah. I agree.
If I ever ask for God to open up a door to me, I tell him to shut 5. It makes it a struggle, but I always pray that. If you open up the right door for me, God, but close 5 on the path to it. Just
show me exactly where you want me to go.
Yep.
And then turns to taking the moves to make.
It's a hard thing to distinguish, dude. I mean, because in all reality, you may have a gift that God has given you to be prophetic, and you really hear His word and stuff, dude. A lot of people like to, and I'm not saying that this is you by any means, but especially with Christian as a culture, everybody acts to like they got it all figured out and know exactly what God wants for them, and they use it as a twisted tool, which is so wrong. And I've experienced that so much in my life, and I get kind of irritated with it, because I know that people are at with their walk right where I'm at, trying to figure it out, not always knowing what God's wanting you to do, not always knowing the right or perfect thing to do. I can't stand somebody who acts like they got it all figured out. I mean, I shouldn't say that. That sounds wrong, because I love everybody, but it irritates me more than anything whenever somebody acts like they have it all figured out and everything's just all, a lot of people tend to use God as an outlet to be oh yeah, I got it all figured out, it's perfect, because I'm doing it with God. I mean, a lot of people will say that but not really be doing it with or through God, and it's just distasteful to me. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
I'm having
100%.
A hard time getting it out.
I agree.
It's just because I'm somebody who's truly trying to live the most godly life that I can, and I fall short every single day, and it just irritates me whenever people act like they don't fall short. And those are the first people to preach to you.
It's also based on what you look up to and who you look up to.
Yeah.
If you think about it, you would think we've been talking about it the entire podcast, a successful person that makes a lot of money, you think he has it all figured out. He has everything he could ever want in life. But at the end of the day, what does his home life look like?
Yeah.
Is he spending time with his kids? Probably not, because he has all this money and that's all that he's going to leave us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're looking up to and what.
Yeah.
That guy
looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because he might be making a lot of money, but he doesn't even have a relationship at all with his family.
Yeah.
So what do you really look up to? Would you really look up to that person or the person who's making $40,000 a year, but he can go home and spend every single day with his kids?
Yeah. The devil can give you what you want too, and you got to be careful of that. A lot of people aren't careful enough of that. And the craziest thing about it is, if you watch anything as far as how the world's going today, and you know, people, especially in like culture in Hollywood, selling their souls, dude. I believe in stuff like that. If it's connected or tied directly to, it's not a conspiracy theory if it's directly connected or tied to God and the devil and hell. And people are selling their souls to the devil on masses for dollar bills.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like crazy. And the crazy thing about it is you can be so close to God and still selling your soul to the devil for a dollar bill and not even know it. It's literally scary. It's so scary. It's all about the heart that you have and where you're coming from and what you're trying to do through what you're doing. But it's just, that's actually something that Alyssa said to me not long ago too. She was like, you know, don't be so focused on success, because, you know, the devil lets people succeed too.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that, and the devil can creep in and help you succeed and pull you away from God without you even noticing it. He comes in the night to kill, steal, and destroy. He's a silent killer that is unseen. He will get you if you're not prayed up and prepared and ready for his attack. I mean, I live by that. Like that type of behavior as far as faith, I live by that, because I feel like the devil's always trying to get on my back and rob me and steal me of something. I really do. Like, dude, I mean, I face temptation and struggles with the devil every single day still, and I've been saved for 7 years.
Yeah, and that's everybody. You're always gonna feel like that. And there's always gonna be that temptation, that desire to do something, and you still have to, you know, be a man and like, okay, I'm not doing that today. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It gets heavier whenever you're on the cusp of a breakthrough too. I'm dealing with a lot right now.
Yeah.
I almost called you this morning and told you I didn't want to do the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, just because I'm just going through a lot, dude. I'm in a weird spot in my life, and I didn't want to come talk to you knowing that it's going to be something that's going to get put out there and say something stupid that I'm going to regret later. I mean, and I really, really had to pray hard and, you know, talk to God this morning and, you know, tell him, like, you know, like, I'm going to go do this because I shouldn't back out on Travis. I've already rescheduled on him once. And, you know, I basically put it in God's hands. I was like, look, I'm putting the ball in your court. Please keep me safe. Take care of me. I was worried to come in here and talk to you, honestly, because I have a lot of stuff on my heart that I wish would leave me right now that is just hurting me tremendously.
And I know, like, deep down, like, God's telling me to tell you, like, you have one of those radical redemption stories that everybody needs to hear. And I feel like you're just called to do something that's absolutely amazing, and you're going to influence and change so many people's lives that it can't even be described.
Thank you, buddy. Dude,
because just hearing your words today and hearing what you've said, and it's just like, it touches me. Dude, like, I haven't got emotional on one yet, and I've been like good to try not to get emotional, but and I know that you're going to do something absolutely amazing, and your kids, you're going to change so many people's lives, and I don't know how, and I don't know in what way that God's going to use you. But I know he's going to use your voice, and he's going to use your testimonies and everything that you're struggling with. And he's just going to just give you so much. And he's going to just give you all these different people in your life, so you may not even know for what reason.
Yeah.
But you're going to touch every single one of them.
Yeah. I believe that 100%. That's how I feel. And I just want everybody who I love and care about to feel the same way and know that I'm doing the right thing. Yeah,
and the devil might sneak up on you sometimes and fill your mind with something that is a lie, like you said you kind of did today, like he was telling you not to go, but think about someone is on the other side of maybe even this camera that you're going to influence and you're going to change, and I solely believe that. I believe that your story and all the things that you've struggled with throughout your entire life is going to change somebody's lives and influence the multitude of people.
I truly believe that. That's what I want more than anything. I just want to pull people out of the fire, dude, because I was on a one-way ticket first class to hell, and I don't want that for other people, man, because I see so many people today that are right on that same trip. It's a one-way street, man. Like, you got to get off of it
at one point. And start living a life of God and start trying to stop building your kingdom and start building God's kingdom.
Yeah, for sure. That's, oh my gosh, dude. I can't believe you're going to post this online. I'm like over here like
dude, I thought it was really good.
No, I think it's really, really good.
I do have to get to work here soon though, so I might have to pray us out if you're good with that.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, ready?
Yeah. Here, let me go ahead and get on there.
You're good. Dear Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for your words, God. God, I just pray you're just able to use us and use our words and and have it just touch somebody's heart, God, and you're able to just pull them out of the fire, and you pull them off the wrong path, God, and you start leading them down a life with you, God, and start walking with them, God, even whenever the distance is unknown, God, and that they're able to sprint with you by their side. God, I pray that you let the people listen to this, they just stop wasting their time, God. They stop wasting their time and stop taking their time for granted. And they're able to be better than they were yesterday, God. God, I just don't know what the people that are listening to my voice, what they're going through, God. I just pray that you heal them, God, and you just break them of every single weakness that they have, God, and you just lead them closer to you and really pull them in close. And I don't know if there's anyone on the other side of this camera or listening to my voice that don't know who you are, God. God, I pray that they can just repeat after me. God, less of me and more of you. Thank you for sending Jesus to die on the cross for me. God, will you just heal me and break me of my weaknesses? God, live a life that's worth living, God. God, I repent of my sins. God, will you fill me with peace and fill me with purpose? In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Yeah, thank you for being on the podcast, brother.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know why I whispered through that.
You're good.
I was like saying my own little prayer while you were praying.
No,
too,
you're
so
good.
I was like, I don't know, just being super thankful. Do you ever do that a lot?
Yeah.
I know we're in it, but I don't know why. Like while somebody else is praying, it's weird how I can be tuned into what somebody's saying and still
have my own prayer.
Going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I try to continuously.
It's hard to like pray with some, like, I like hearing somebody else's prayer, but it's like it's that person praying, it's not really me praying to God. So I have my own thing to say or some other things that I think about why he's opening up and talking about himself.
Yeah,
or talking about what he's going through or what somebody else is going through.
That's right.
Because I have my own people to pray for.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me
Yes, sir.
on,
Thanks
man.
for being on the
Love you, buddy.
podcast.
Have a good day, dude.
Yes, sir. I love you
Had a
too.
good workout. Now my arms feel like yellow.
Yeah, that's good. All right. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see y'all next week.
Sorry for crying so much.